Okay, Andrews.
Here.
Bowden.
Here.
Collins.
Here.
Hindeman here. Pohl.
Here.
Schrader.
Here.
White. Here. All present.
Ellie, is there any open, or Brad, can you check, is there any open?
Yes, we've got Ben, our building and grounds director here today. And, he decided after the agenda was made, he wanted to come in. Otherwise, I said, I'll just put you on the agenda, Ben.
My bad.
But no problem.
Good.
So- And the meeting was properly posted yesterday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Village of Dickeyville, Cuba City Hall, as well as all our local members of the media, and at both sites. So, Ben, you're up.
Right away.
You're open.
Yep.
Public recognition, you're up.
Okay. I don't know if any of you guys are aware. I know, Gary, you were. About a month or so ago, we lost power to the press box. First person I called, obviously, was Chuck. And this is more of a shout out and a thank you to Chuck. Right away it comes in terms we have broken wires underground. And I asked him, I go, what do we do? He said, call Crescent Electric, get the wire. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, we'll do it in-house. He worked with me for over 20 hours straight, 2 days, 8 to 4, numerous trips to Crescent Electric. Didn't want anything in return. I guess I just want to say your dedication to the district speaks volumes to the person that you really are.
It just helps everybody out.
You know, I don't know if you guys, realize it, but it took a lot of load off my back. I mean, there was times where, yes, he wanted to come in, but I knew that if I didn't leave him at home to get stuff done, Mrs. Paul was going to be on me, and I don't want that. So
She's in the basement all the time.
yeah, I know.
We just
So-
in the doghouse.
I can do that on my own.
I figure it saved us about 50% by me and him doing it. Granted, pulling at 350 feet, that was quite the task. And
No fun.
well, you took the easy part of it.
Well, yeah, I'm older.
I know. But,
Well,
I really appreciate it. And I just want to say thank you. I don't think it's, said enough. So that's all I got.
Thank you, Ben. And thank you, Chuck. Appreciate
Thank
it.
the cook's happy now too.
Yes. So put in a fan contactor for me because he knew I was trying to get this done because the last thing I wanted was Mrs. Lawson on me about not having the press box done for the first JV game. So he called me the other day and said it's done. So it's nice to have that in your back pocket, I guess.
All the way.
Thank
I'm
you.
not sleeping. Not on Fridays though.
Yeah.
Month April
He's busy though.
till 2:30.
Item 4, consideration of the consent agenda. Are there any items A through C that you would like pulled for further discussion? Hearing none, would somebody move, please?
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I will second. Andrews.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Hindeman, yes. Pohl.
Yeah.
Schrader.
Yes.
White. Yes. Motion carried.
Thank you. Administrative reports. Heather, business manager report?
Sure. So an update on the 2021 Fund 10 expenses. At the end of March, we were 75% of the way through the fiscal year, and we have spent about 50% of our budget, which is right in line with where we were at last year at this time. So we are right on track. An update on ESSER 2 funding. Just a reminder, the district was awarded around $223,000. We will be receiving some additional funds, but we will not know what those dollars are until this fall. And that's because it's going to be based on in-person instructions are driving that amount that we're going to be awarded. Just last week, I attended a DPI conference, virtual conference, and learned some more details about ESSER 2. And then they opened up the ESSER 2 grant online. So I'm working on the narrative for the school district and the budget, and that has been quite a time-consuming task I'm learning. And then once the narrative and the budget for ESSER 2 is done, then I can start claiming those expenses and we can get reimbursed for those expenses. An update on ESSER 3. Right now, there's just some projections out there as far as like what school districts are going to receive. We're looking at about $500,000. However, DPI presented the ESSER 3 proposal to the state's Joint Finance Committee last week. And in their proposal, their proposal included that every single district would receive a minimum of $600,000. So right now ours is $500,000. If the Joint Finance Committee passes what DPI is suggesting, we could be looking at $600,000. Once I know more, once that amount is like more solidified, I will share with the board what we will be awarded. And then the district would have until September 2024 to spend down those ESSER 3 funds. And then just an update on the 21-22 budget. It is complete using the current information that myself and Mr. Olson have access to. We are currently over budget by a little bit, but we are confident with our ESSER 2 and our ESSER 3 funds, along with some other topics that will greatly impact the budget, that we will be able to present a balanced budget this coming fall. And that's all I have.
Question, because I might have get confused when you were talking ESSER 2. I know you said the amount, but we actually have to submit the expenses to get paid. We just don't get the check.
Correct. And with ESSER 3, the DPI is actually requiring you to spend 20% of that on assessing and like closing learning gaps. So that's a focus in ESSER 2, but it's a requirement in ESSER 3, and they're saying 20% of your dollars have to be spent on that in ESSER 3. But yes, we have to incur the expense, and then I go like claim it, and then we get reimbursed.
ESSER 3 is a little more restrictive than ESSER 1, which is basically the CARES Act, and ESSER 2, we're basically just, hey, whatever you need to use. ESSER 3 is more scripted to, closing the achievement gap by 20% of it. Then there's a few other things that are more restricted in ESSER 3, but nothing that is insurmountable for us.
Thank you for the explanation.
Yep, you're welcome.
Is there other questions of Heather? Ready, moving on. Middle school, high school report, Ellie.
All right, so we have been working through our state assessments at the middle school and high school. I want to thank Ms. Adler and Ms. Shep for their hard work in organizing that and having the process be very successful. We had on April 14th, we had the ACT Aspire, where just the 9th and 10th graders came in, and the rest of the students learned virtually, and that day went really well to accomplish most of that testing. At the high school level, at the middle school level, they've been taking the tests in small parts over the last few weeks, and that's also gone very well. And I need to give a huge shout out to our tech department, so Tina Burkett and Chevy Miller, for their hard work with that, because all of those assessments are done online. So the day that we did that, we really needed them to help get everything the way it needed to be. So it was good to have both of them on site supporting that. But we're, again, super pleased with how it went, and we'll look forward to our results here in the future. I want to thank the middle school students and Ms. Williams and Mr. Sander again for their entertainment for the middle school play this year, the virtual family. They have completed all the scenes now, and they would each week do a few scenes throughout the whole thing and throughout the whole performance. And it was really a fun way to see that performance of our middle school students. Our high school students performed Finding Myself on the weekend of March 27th, and it was a great success. So again, congratulations and thank you to our high school students and Mr. Duff Bowers and Ms. Slatt for their hard work in, it's been an interesting year, and they worked hard to make it a great experience for our students, and I'm really pleased with how all that went as well. Our alternate fall seasons for volleyball and football they have volleyball went well and football is going well. We're glad our students have had this opportunity for these events, and we're thank you to all involved that are helping work the events and just help making sure that it happens. And Miss Lawson has done a really good job with scheduling to make sure that we were able to have these events. And that has not been an easy task for any athletic director with these alternate seasons, but she has done a nice job with making it happen. And I want to thank her for that too. And then along with that, continuing with the alternate seasons, our middle school was able to have volleyball, and Mr. Bowden did an excellent job of organizing that with other area schools, because not all of the schools in our conference for middle school did do the alternate season. But he was able to find other schools that did, and the girls had a great experience with getting a volleyball season at the middle school level. So thank you to him as well. With it being football season and having some, we didn't have the homecoming week we normally do and some of the events. Our student council really wanted to do some things to make it mirror homecoming week. So next week it is considered homecoming week for our Cuba City students here on campus. Obviously, we're not inviting people in from outside because of COVID, but we are doing some things next week that would be similar to a homecoming week, but in a safe way. The theme is Back to the Future. And so we ordered the homecoming t-shirts like they do. We're going to watch the movie Back to the Future one day. And we have some other events planned for contests, such as dress-up days and things where students can earn points to try to win the Spirit Stick. So we are going to have those things happening next week. Looking forward to that. And Ms. Timmerman and Ms. Joel are working hard with the student council to make sure that can happen as our homecoming advisors. So we're looking forward to that. Planning is taking place for all of the upcoming end of year events for middle school and high school. So dates have been shared with families in the April newsletter, and we'll continue to communicate those things out, like end of year awards and things that will be virtual that parents can watch. But then also our scholarship night will be face-to-face, and our obviously graduation. We're going to have a senior athletic banquet. So just know that those things are in the works and being planned for our students this year. The Cuba City bowling team won and finished with a record 45 wins and 3 losses during the spring season. So if you remember at one of the past board meetings, I shared that they were going to do a spring season. They did a fall season, and we actually won the fall season. And with the spring season, they did an outstanding job. We had a total of 8 teams participate with Cuba City, Iowa Grant, Southwestern, and Dodgeville. Students from Cuba City that participated and were on the winning team, so we again won the league, were Austin Ingersoll, Lily Timmerman, Sydney Schrader, Andy Luffelholtz, and Andrew Bellrichard. And our second team and subs were Brady Coulthart, Charlie Schrader, Levi Miller, Rachel Ginter, Katie Schrader, Danny Luffelholtz, Avery Miller, Landon Luffelholtz. And we want to thank Scott Wright as head coach. He's done such a good job with organizing that and keeping the schools moving and going with it. And then also the assistant coaches, Chris Luffelholtz and Don Schrader, along with Dan Bowden for being the secretary of the league. So that's been a great opportunity for our students. So thank you to those of you in the room that I just thanked. But it's been a really good experience for our kids. This year, middle school and high school band and choir students had the opportunity to participate in a virtual district solo ensemble. Through the solo ensemble experience, students learn the discipline of rehearsal, are challenged to advance their musical skills and creativity and perform in front of an audience, and then of course someone that judges them while receiving feedback on their performance. So this year students prepared a solo ensemble duet and recorded and submitted the performance to the WSMA for a rating and feedback from the judge. We had 30 middle school performances and 30 high school performances. At the middle school level, we had 18 first ratings and 9 second ratings and 3 critiques. At the high school level, we had 3 starred first ratings, which will advance to state solo ensemble in May, 11 first ratings and 18 second ratings, and 1 third rating. Congratulations to all students on their performances, and special congratulations to our 3 high school students that are advancing to state solo ensemble, and that's Hector Mendez, Lily Timmerman, and Molly Schmidt. So we're excited for them in that opportunity. And the last thing I want to share today is we have Stacy Ballbeck was invited to present, and I want to share a little bit about that to you. The American Chemical Society and American Association of Chemistry Teachers invited Ms. Ballbeck to present a webinar on April 13th because of her expertise in her current Director of Curriculum and Instruction for Cuba City School District. Her Chem Matters Policy Board member, she's one of those members, chair of the Wisconsin Local ACS section, and as a national recognized teacher. The webinar explained how to incorporate literacy into the chemistry classroom using Chem Matters. During the presentation, she taught attendees how to differentiate for process based on student choice, use Serratic circles for science talk, develop student thought models on the priorities of matter, and summative assessment aligned to the next generation science standards, which are also linked to the assessments on research. She had 150 professionals attend from all over the world to listen to her presentation last week. So we want to congratulate her on that, and that's pretty cool. So we're proud of her and glad that she's able to be recognized that way, and also share outside of just our Cuba City walls, share her expertise everywhere. So thank you.
There's nothing going on, and there'll be a test later on what you just said.
Okay, yeah. Absolutely.
Are there any questions? All right, Brad, the elementary report, please.
All right, we've set our 4K screening dates, and they are Monday, July 19th at Country Care and Tuesday, August 3rd at Cuba City Elementary School. Typically in a normal year, we would have already held screening or do it in the early spring time to begin preparations for the upcoming school year. However, with COVID and our lack of visitors for the most part, we had to rethink our process. We're optimistic that by holding the screenings in both locations, that we will get an even better turnout than in years past, utilizing the Dickeyville location. Another benefit is that students will have more time to mature and grow before we conduct the screenings, and we'll be able to better place and match them where they belong. As of the time that I put the report together, we had 34 students that are anticipated to join us for 4K next year. 11 of those families have already requested to go to our Country Care location, as a number of them are already attend Miss Pitson's daycare facility and would like to continue there. I actually think that number may be going up to 12 because I went to visit Country Care today and brought a form back with me. And typically when the form comes from that location, it's a request to stay there. So our numbers may actually be a little bit higher, but of the 34, now 35 anticipated students, we already have 28 appointments scheduled for that 4K screening, which the more kids that we have the opportunity to screen, the easier it is for us to place students. Last week, we observed Severe Weather Awareness Week. We used Monday to describe the various alerts. Tuesday was thunderstorms and lightning. Wednesday was flash flooding. Thursday was tornadoes, including the statewide tornado drill, which obviously looked different in a COVID world. We talked about what we would do and where we would go in the event of an actual incident, but we didn't actually move students to locations to keep them safe. Friday was extreme heat. Our forward testing is also underway. Majority of our grades are really close to being done. A huge shout out to Mrs. Shep, who organizes a lot of that testing. We also have students who are in Calvert learning, who we've had to schedule times for them to come on site and take their exams. So her work with that is greatly appreciated. Last Friday, our Cuba City Elementary School 4K students were able to create their own pizzas and then bake those for lunch. The students loved the experience. They were able to do it hands-on. We were able to do it in a way where they all had access to their own ingredients and did it in a safe manner. So that was really exciting, and a huge shout out to our kitchen staff for being flexible on those days and making that work for our youngest learners. We are in communication with Cuba City EMS. They want to come into our school and share bicycle safety information with our students in grades K through 1. We've had SEALs from Wheels and other medical personnel into our building to help our students. This is an opportunity. We're going to utilize our gym so that we can socially distance our students. They're going to show a video, and then every kid in kindergarten and first grade gets equipped and fitted with a new bike helmet. Typically, it's just kindergarten, and the fact that they missed kindergarten last year with COVID, they're excited to catch all those first graders that they missed last year. So we're extremely appreciative to have that partnership. Our third grade students have been learning about endangered animals. They all researched an animal, created a poster, presented their information to their classes. And it's always a great experience when kids get to read, create, and then share that learning with all of their classmates. So really excited about that process with our third graders. Our fourth and fifth grade students participated in UWP's virtual STEM day and constructed robotic hands out of common materials. They all had strings attached to them, which when they pulled on the strings made the robotic hands work. It was pretty neat to see that happen. They were also able to create and launch homemade rockets. And this time when we launched rockets, we didn't have any fly up and hit interns in the face. So we're really, really excited that we didn't have to worry about anybody get hurt. We had a successful Cuba City Elementary School clothing sale through the Wisconsin Clothing Company, which was formerly known as the 608. And they generously donated 10% of their sales back to the elementary school activity fund. So really appreciative of the partnership that we had with them through that process. Near the end of March, our second grade students used toothpicks and jelly beans to construct protective towers for their peeps, with it being so close to the Easter holiday. Their goal was to construct the tallest towers possible, but they had to do it with toothpicks and jelly beans. So it's kind of neat to see their engineering brains working and, keeping those peeps safe. I know I wouldn't put any in my stomach. I know some other people really like them, but not my favorite. Today was Administrative Assistance Day, and just want to take a moment and say thank you for all the work that all of our administrative assistants do throughout the school year to help our schools run so smoothly. They don't get thank yous or credits nearly as often as they probably should. We have several special surprises in store for all staff the first week of May to honor Teacher Appreciation Week. So as a collective administrative team, that's something that we're excited about. I want to give special thanks to Chuck as well and the maintenance staff for getting the kitchen fan at the elementary school working again. Knowing that lunch has been a little bit different, we recently successfully shifted back to trays. Being able to be in there and serve lunch and do so with it being 15 to 20 degrees cooler has been a lot more enjoyable, especially for some of us that sweat a little bit easier than others. So it's just really something that we're excited about. If you had not, and with that shift to trays, I also want to thank, not just our kitchen staff. Jessica has been wonderful in helping get lunches delivered and served to kids, but also John and Kevin who work in the kitchen. I think they were enjoying not washing trays for a little while, and the shift back has taken a little adjusting, but they are such troopers and they work so hard, and we're so lucky to have them. The last thing I want to share, if you have been on social media at all today and have had an opportunity to, Jesse and with some help from Tina, put together a 5K video promoting our kindergarten program to help entice some of those kids who are in our 4K program that might be open enrolled to continue that open enrollment and see what kindergarten has to offer. It's just a quick 2-minute video, but it's really, really neat, and shout out to them for the awesome work on that. That's all I have.
Thank you, Brad. Any questions? Yeah, special ed, please.
I too would like to thank a great big thank you to the administrative assistants. They do such a fantastic job keeping us moving smoothly and supporting all of our students and the staff. They do a fantastic job. And also I'd like to thank the special ed staff. I looked back at my report from last year, and it was all about how hard everybody was working and trying to navigate this whole COVID virtual delivery. And an additional thing that our special ed staff had to do this year was document how much of the special ed students' services they received and whether or not they were making gains towards their IEP goals. And that was a lot of documentation for every student, and it was due by March 1st. Fortunately, I will tell you that 99% of our students don't need any additional services because of what we were able to provide virtually to them. And they got the paperwork done for me by March 1st. And I really appreciate that because that was one more large task for them to get completed this year. Heather and I have been working on the budget, and we've also been working on some DPI claim forms that might bring in some additional reimbursement to the district. I've been working on planning for next year. I've been working with the administrative assistants and with Mr. Lutz and Mrs. Olson on schedules. I'll be developing caseloads and schedules for our special ed staff and students. And I'm setting up some transition meetings among our special ed staff for students going from 5th to 6th grade and 8th to 9th grade. It's really important. We know our students so well, and then they move to the next building, and we want to make sure that those teachers know what they need to know about those students to support them from day one. And we're also working on the co-teaching process. We've done that for 2 years now, and we want to continue that next year. We have lots and lots of students in the regular ed classroom more fully included because of this, and we want to continue to do that. For summer planning, I've got some in-service times set up for nonviolent crisis intervention training. And the special ed staff and I are going to do a goal book exploration. Goal book is a program that we subscribe to that helps teachers design learning goals, identify barriers to learning, and then it also provides us with strategies to help those students overcome those barriers and move forward to close those gaps that Heather was talking about. I also have Brian Kenny coming in. He's the transition coordinator with CISA 3, and he's going to do a half-day data dig with us. And it will be with our guidance counselors, special ed teachers, Mrs. Olson and I, kind of teaching us how to dig into our WISE data and figure out which students are at risk of potentially not graduating from high school. Very few don't graduate from Cuba City High School, but we want to make sure that we're addressing any of those students that might be at risk and providing what they need to ensure that they will graduate and get the best out of their educational experience. The other half day, he'll be working on virtual resumes, which is a living online document now. It must be the new thing. Rather than sending a paper copy, you send a virtual resume. You can include so much more in there than you can in a paper resume. So I'm really interested to see what he has to say about that. And then our CISA 3, most of the districts in our CISA 3 are getting together to provide some summer social experiences to some of our high school students who wouldn't necessarily get those experiences in our traditional summer school. So 2 weeks before the week of the 4th of July and 2 weeks after, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, my group is Southwestern, Cuba City, and Prairie du Chien. We're getting together to provide an opportunity and host an event for students to get together and socialize, get to know students from other districts, learn some functional living skills, daily living skills. We're going to do things like pontoon boat riding and going to the Big M, Rolla Jameson Museum, visit the Cassville Ferry. We have every day is a host day that multiple districts are getting together to host so that we can provide these opportunities for these students who often don't know anybody outside of their small self-contained classroom. So I'm pretty excited for that. We will actually be hosting the first day in June, and I will report to you on how that goes.
Thank you, Deb. Any questions? Aaron, superintendent report, please?
Sure. I'd like to echo a lot of the other administrators and say that a big thank you to our administrative assistants, Pam, Julie, Jesse, and Jessica, and a lot of them are probably watching right now. But they do a wonderful job and are very much appreciated by everybody in our district, and we're lucky to have them. Also, yesterday had a Grant County area school meeting with our county health director, Jeff Kindray, and just some updates from that. Right now, our Cuba City School District, and this comes off the COVID site, which is a statewide site. You can search by your district. in our district boundary lines, even though there are some islands in there, I'm not sure if they consider those islands. I don't think they do, but it says there's about 5,000 people within our boundary lines. Our average number of new cases is 0.85 a day, which is not a big number. It was down much lower than that. In the county, we were below 1 or below 2 a day in the county for a while. Jeff was worried that spring breaks might impact that, and the numbers now they're closer to 8 new cases a day. And he's assuming that some of this is student gatherings, and homecoming dances and proms and things like that. Also spring break and people traveling and bringing back different variants. So those are just some of his thoughts. We'll share, as of today, we have quarantined 374 different students. Now, when I say that, some kids have been quarantined multiple times, but it's 374. Of those 374, 1 student has come down with COVID inside the 2-week window, outside of a family member. Like if a family member did, and then if the brother or sister did later, I didn't count that one. What that tells me is that our mitigation strategies are working and school is safe. And a lot of people may not like some of the mitigation strategies. And to be honest, some of us don't like some of the mitigation strategies. But if we can keep that at 1 kid out of 374 tested positive for this and was less likely to pass it on to a grandparent or somebody who could be hurt by this, then we'll wear the masks and we'll try to remind the high school kids to stay 6 feet apart. And we'll keep our classes where they're 6 feet away and not have shared materials, because 1 out of 374, every time we have to quarantine a child, it's a hard phone call to make. As a parent and as someone who values education and hearing the voice of the parents on the other line, we don't want to be doing that. And I know the percentages here are low, but that's what the county says we have to do for quarantining. So we've got to do that, and we've got to stay strong through the end of this year and keep strong with those mitigation strategies so we can keep our kids safe, and so parents can go to work and have one less thing to worry about is their kids at home. So just wanted to thank everybody who was involved in that process of making sure we developed a plan that did keep kids safe, because that 1 out of 374 is really something that we should be proud of. And our teachers have worked extremely hard, and it is not easy to keep kids 6 feet apart at all. And they're doing a wonderful job of that. It's not easy to tell the same kids to put your mask over your nose because they don't like it. But these are things that keep kids in school, and that's what we're going to keep doing. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Any questions of Aaron? All right, moving on, discussion items. Discussion from our goal-setting session that was just held. Aaron?
Yeah, the first thing that I'd like to go through is just which option we want to have, and I'm really not good at leading wordsmithing. Thankfully, we do have somebody who is in the editing position, who's probably much better at wordsmithing than I am. But just looking at these, and I've shared this with you before, option 1, I believe, is just kind of a reiteration or a summary of our mission statement. Option 2 says something that I feel represents this group and our community better. So I'm much more on option 2. But when we talked with our communication strategic planning committee, I believe that they were in favor of option 2, but they wanted us to wordsmith a few different things. So that's what we want to do right now. So first of all, is anybody really tied to option 1 as a reiteration of that? Or are we all kind of saying, let's hammer out option 2? Anybody in favor of option 1? Seeing none, we'll move on to option 2. So Heather, you were at the Communication Strategic Planning Committee. Do you want to just kind of give another update of some of those options that we have, and then we can... I'm
Megan.
sorry. Megan, I'm sorry.
Heather was
Did I say Heather? Heather got all red right away. Sorry. Megan, you were there. I'm sorry about that, Megan.
No, that's all right. So something we had talked about, the original option had been striving for excellence in concert with others. And as a group, we had talked about, we weren't quite sure if in concert was immediately understandable to a wide audience. We weren't sure how we felt about that wording. We also went back and forth a little bit as to, are we talking about individual, community excellence? What do we really want this to convey? But I think from our goal setting discussion earlier too, I will add in that I think excellence was a term that we felt very strongly about because we've had people outside of our community say that's what Cuba City is known for, is that striving for excellence. That's really at the heart of a lot of the discussions we've been having. And then it's just kind of fine tuning the wording around that.
It was not, I don't believe, on what was handed out, or is it?
The language? Yep.
Yes.
It's right after the special board meeting pack, right after the posting. It's the second page. So it's got the mission statement and the vision statement right there.
So I guess if everybody wanted to read option 2 of some form, where you have the individual community in parentheses, are you seeking?
Yeah, we can either
leaving it that way, or
we could either
just
take it
say-
out or put one of those two in, or come up with something different. So I'm open to suggestions. Oh, Brad's got his hand up.
So I kind of took that and I put striving for overall excellence through partnerships with stakeholders. Because it kind of touches on all those groups that we work with, all the stakeholders, and then just overall excellence.
Could you say that just once more, Brad?
Sure. Striving for overall excellence through partnerships with stakeholders,
That would be the entire
the whole thing. So I tried to
short and sweet.
chunk what you had into slightly different words.
I like that one. The one thing that I like using the word stakeholders, because I use that a lot. One thing that I often get though is, do you want to use a different word? So that is just a more commonly used word than stakeholders. So it could be with community. Something like that.
Well, and as Jamie was kind of talking, since the communications and strategy team had seen those goals last week, I was quietly writing down other options. So I'll just read a couple that maybe even incorporate some of the parts of option 1, just for the group's consideration. And again, just keeping it really simple: striving for individual and community excellence, striving for excellence with respect and care for all, or fostering individual and community excellence. I didn't know if fostering was a gentler word than striving. It depends how you want to look at that. School is kind of a nurturing place or really pushing you past your comfort zones. Either could be really positive, but now I'm getting English teacher nerdy here. I say that with love to English teachers.
Go ahead, Chuck.
But we got more than one community that's involved in the district. And how do we relate to them? Because they take communities, Cuba City, you got Dickeyville, Kaler, you got other.
So that's why when you use stakeholders, that
Right,
means
that covers them all.
everybody, that covers everybody. If you would say within the school community, the school community is everywhere inside those boundaries,
Right. That sounds
but we don't want to alienate anybody from
No.
any of our areas.
Definitely not.
I
True.
think every word that you include is open to interpretation in this. So I think the simpler you can keep it, the better. I would suggest something as simple as striving for excellence together. Done.
Yeah.
You're not saying it's an individual, you're not saying a community. If you're saying both, why even say both?
True.
If you say stakeholder, am I a stakeholder? I don't, people question that. So I think just keeping it very simple, it's easy to remember.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a
You
great
had
point.
striving for excellence together.
Mm-hmm.
And the vision statement, that's something you want to be able to memorize and have at the drop of a hat. So again, if it's simpler, it's gonna be easier for everybody to remember it. And you're right, everything does get interpreted differently, and it's hard to not interpret striving for excellence together the way that I think that you're intending it.
There's a thumbs up from, is that a go?
I like it.
Nailed it.
I like it,
It covers it. That way they can't nitpick it.
yeah.
All right. Sarah wins the prize.
All right.
then. Thank you, Sarah.
Congratulations.
Very good. All right.
All righty.
In regards to the rest of the education goal setting, what would you guys like me to do next? I plan on talking with Jamie, probably next week and kind of getting his take. He shared some of his thoughts. We're near the end of that. And I think the next step is going to be a critical one. Now that we have these goals, what do we want to do with it? So I'd like to take some time and kind of come up with my idea of what I'd like to do and share that with you, get Jamie's input. So do we want to have some discussion? If you guys have ideas on that, I'd be more than willing to listen to it.
We had talked in the meeting that we thought that most of SMART Goal 2 and 3 were completed, and that we should concentrate our efforts on 1.
Yep, and 2's nearly completed. Like I would guess it's probably 90% completed. And be involved with the community. That one's gonna be ongoing all the time. And you guys had some great SMART goals for us. So 3, actually, we haven't started that one yet now because you guys came up with really good ones. But there was some talk about, do we want to just stick with this first goal? Because that first goal really, within it has 3 separate parts, and each separate part had multiple SMART goals of either 3 or 4. So, we can keep working off this list of 3, and when we're done, we can report it to you and check it off and say it's completed. And we talked about that at the communication meeting too. Do we just say, okay, once this is done, report it, and then we say we're done with that one already? Or do we just focus on, here's our priority for the next 2 years or, next 3 years. This is our main goal. And we've got a bunch of SMART goals underneath it. We certainly have enough SMART goals, I think, to last us the next couple of years with just goal number 1. So what are your thoughts about how we proceed with our top priorities? Do we stick with 1 or do we stick with 3 and report out on those or on a regular basis? What direction would you like to go?
Well, I guess I liked what Dan just said, that, I guess that's my concern is we want to chop it down to the point where it's attainable. And, so in my mind, even, if you just generically looked at all of the 3 bigger goals, which one is the most important and focus on that one to try and get it completed, then you'd move on to, or even prioritize the 3. And if number 1 is our priority, then let's focus on that. And by keeping it on the agenda every month, hopefully then we would continue to make progress. And I think 2 or 3 year timeline for goals is probably enough.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at the fact that the board can turn over, 50% or more within that time frame.
Yep.
And you might get people on there that would have totally different views, maybe pro or con. I don't know if it's smart to look beyond that.
And we had talked about that a little bit too, is how often do we want to relook at our goals? And we were kind of looking at a 3 to 5 year span there and saying, okay, in the last year, whether it's a 3-year goal or a 5-year goal, in the last year of that, we kind of wrap up, but we're already starting to plan for the next 3 to 5 years. So that's kind of, do you remember, we talked about 3 and 5. I don't remember if we had a preference. Do you remember?
I think we had talked about, now I'm trying to remember. I think we had talked about 3 years and then, like you said, 2 years of these are the specific goals, and then the 3rd year being planning for the next 3.
We start working ahead for the next one.
Even 5 seems like planning too far out after a year of COVID.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Other thoughts? How would you like to move forward here?
I guess I would like to just move forward with our goal number 1, which I call provide increased opportunity for excellence in academics, athletics, and academics, athletics, and what's the third one? Arts. There you go.
My only question with that is I agree that one's so all encompassing. It's definitely the priority. But that only leaves out 4 SMART goals, 2 looking at evaluation, and then 2 that were community outreach that, because we made them SMART goals, are fairly attainable. So I don't think we should not go for those. And I mean, especially the educator effectiveness. I know that's already in process.
And that's the thing with goals 2 and 3 here, like if you guys take these off the list, we're not stopping those SMART goals.
Mhm.
It
It's
just won't be
just a-
reported out during this section. And we'd still probably meet those, because once we get all the job descriptions and everything lined up, I'm gonna want to bring them to you, show them to you, and get them all approved anyway. So it's not like we'd be dropping those, it's just, it wouldn't be part of this process, it would be part of a different process.
I would be comfortable with that. I just knew that, like, with wheels already in motion on some of this,
Yep.
I didn't want that work to be lost. So
Yep.
thank you for clarifying
Yep.
that it would just kind of become a new process.
Right.
Other thoughts?
I'd like to hear everybody's take on Dan's suggestion of just, what if we just have this as our main priority for the next 2 years? And just get where everybody is on that.
I'm in agreement with that.
Definitely.
I think that's a good idea. Good goal. Okay. Thank you. Anything else on? The
You guys are
goals
quick, we
and-
got the vision statement done, we got our priority labeled, we're good.
All right, if there's nothing else, we'll move on to new business, which is approve the 21 summer school course offerings.
Lutz?
Oh, I shared with Mr. Olson, I believe shared.
Yep, they all have it.
We have 39 proposed courses from grades going into kindergarten all the way up through high school. That doesn't include some of the ag things that will be going on during the summer and various things that can also be counted as summer school enrollment. Those are in front of you. I guess the only thing I'd ask is maybe a little bit of flexibility, because I'm waiting to hear back from one UW Platteville college student that might allow us to add another course or 2, or have her teach a course that someone else proposed that was unable to commit to. But I'm much more confident that everything that was proposed will be filled this year than last year, shortly after COVID. People, their minds kind of shifted or changed a little bit. So what you have in front of you is what staff was eager to share with students and willing to teach. So I'm excited to bring that forward to you. And hopefully when we do this again next year, that will go up significantly.
Well, thank you for all your work and spearheading that, and hopefully, as you said, moving forward where we can actually see summer school start to grow. So,
Yeah, I know, like, we wanted to have a lot of our coaches participate and offer some more athletic-based things in the summer, but with the shift to like an alternate spring season overlapping kind of into that summer school time frame and other things like that, and just kind of the burden that a COVID year has had on some staff, I think there was a little bit of a time for a deep breath.
It's all, summer school's almost halfway into, or halfway over before our spring sports are done,
Right, so,
which is not normally that won't happen.
right.
So I see that changing in the future.
so summer school time is what dates?
8 to noon, so 4 1-hour classes, so students.
He meant the dates, Brett.
What's that?
He meant the
Dates.
dates.
Oh, I'm sorry.
June 14th
Yep.
to July 15th.
Thank you.
And we don't, it's Monday through Thursday, except the Monday after the 4th of July.
Okay. Any questions regarding the summer school offerings? Would somebody move?
I'll move to approve the 2021 summer school course offerings as presented.
I'll second. Andrews.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item B, resolution authorizing contract renewals and issuance of teacher contracts for
Yep.
21-2.
Per state law, we have to let teachers know if we're going to be offering them a contract by May 15th each year. And our next May meeting, I believe, is May 19th. So in those situations, we just do this in April. This shows that we will be offering a teaching contract to every teacher who is currently employed.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, would someone move?
I will move to approve the resolution authorizing contract renewals and issuance of teacher contracts for the 2021-22 school year as presented.
Is there a second?
I will second. I'll give it to you, Jeff. Andrews.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item C, approve the Neola policy updates for April 21.
Yep, we met with our policy committee meeting last Wednesday, and not too many different policies. Actually, this was our smallest update that we've had. Some were around, a lot of them based around COVID issues, either giving assurances that allow schools to make changes based on school or on state guidelines or recommendations. Also, school board policies, as I've shared with some of you, these current policies just kind of remind board members, as an individual board member, you can't go up to a teacher and say, well, you don't have to do that, or you have to do this, which apparently some board members in other districts, not in ours, were doing. So if you saw that and wondered what was that, as you can imagine, a lot of boards were very split on what schools should be doing in COVID. And although we all brought our own opinions to this, we acted as a board that makes decisions for a community. And we didn't have those issues, but a lot of schools did. So those were a couple of those. And then some minor language changes also. So any other thoughts from the policy committee?
No, it was all pretty straightforward based on COVID changes for the most part.
Any questions of those policies that you may have reviewed? Hearing none, would someone move?
I'll move to approve the Neola policy updates for April 2021 as presented.
I'll second.
Andrews.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item D, approve the 21-22 dental insurance renewal from Delta Dental.
Yep, we were able to get a 0% increase from this year's rates. So I recommend that we approve this.
If there's no questions, would someone move?
I'll move to approve the 2021-22 dental insurance renewal from Delta Dental as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Andrews.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item E, approve the 21-22 long-term disability renewal from National Insurance Services.
This as well came in with a 0% increase. So I recommend that we approve this.
Again, if there's no question, would someone move?
I'll move to approve the 2021-22 long-term disability from National Insurance Services as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Andrews.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item F, approve the 21-22 CISA 3 service contract, Aaron.
Yep, the CISA 3 service contract is actually down a little bit from this year, but that's because of some services that will not be needed next year with students population that were needed this year. Again, if any of those are special ed related, if another student moves in there, that may have to go up or down every year, but there was not an increase from CISA 3, so their board of control must be doing a good job over there.
Despite the BS, would someone move?
I'll move to approve the 2021-22 CISA 3 service contract as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Andrews.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item G, approve the 21-22 WEA health insurance renewal.
I wish I could tell you this was a 0% increase, but 5.5% is actually a very good rate. For from this year's that I thought was a good rate also. So I recommend that we approve this. We did send it out to bid from, to about 5 different places. 3 places refused to bid because they said what you guys are getting at through WEA, we can't match, so we're not going to do that. One company came in, but it was very limiting, and 80% of the people that our staff go to, the doctors or their providers would not be in that list, so we didn't really consider that one.
Heather, what's 5.5% increase in dollars?
Good question, Gary. I'm gonna have to log into our financial.
That's fine. Can you maybe just have Aaron send it out to us? We don't need
I'll
it.
tell you by the end of the meeting, but.
That's fine. That's fine. We'll go on. If there's no questions, would somebody move on the health insurance?
I'll move to approve the 2021-22 WEA health insurance renewal as presented.
Is there a second?
I will second. Andrews,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
White. Yes. Motion carried.
Item H, approve the 21-22 athletic training contract with Southwest Health.
Yep, and this comes in with a 2.25% increase, which is consistent. Sometimes it's been 2%, sometimes it's been 2.5%, but it's always been within that range. So I suggest or recommend that we approve this.
If there's no questions, would someone move?
I'll move to approve the 2021-22 athletic training contract with Southwest Health as presented.
I'll second. Andrews,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
White. Yes. Motion carried.
Item 8 is personnel and approve Hayden Hardiman as a volunteer high school assistant baseball coach.
Yep, Mr. Hardiman is is our 5th grade intern, I believe, at Cuba City Elementary School, and asked Mr. Graber if he could help out because he has some aspirations to be a high school coach. And Mr. Graber would love to have the help, and all of us recommend that we approve this.
Would someone move?
I'll move to approve Hayden Hardiman as a volunteer CCHS assistant baseball coach.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Andrews,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
White. Yes. Motion carried.
Budget and finance, Chuck?
We haven't met.
We will be meeting Wednesday, May 12th with our next draft of the budget. We met for draft 1, and so draft 2 will be in May.
Building and grounds?
We haven't met, but Aaron, do we have one coming up or
Yeah, we'll have one in June to go over all summer stuff that we're looking at doing.
do we have any prices back on what we addressed last meeting on the furnaces for down here or?
I don't think we have those.
I got the one from Jack that had initially presented. I'm waiting for 2 other. They're struggling to find actually units.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
COVID shortage of that too?
Yeah, somehow shocking, Andrew, just like price of lumber.
You blame it on everything.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that'll either be late May or early June, probably depending on when we get these
Right,
into.
yeah.
Because I mean, you know, the sooner we get that and approve it, the quicker they can, you know, get it
Right.
ordered.
Yep.
We're gonna try and do it this summer.
Yep.
All right.
Communications review and strategic planning, I guess we sort of talked
Yep,
about
we
that, unless someone has something else. Curriculum instruction assessment, Aaron?
Next meeting will be Wednesday, June 9th, and to go over everything they did with curriculum this year and the focus, what we're going to be doing for next year.
Personnel, is there any need to meet?
Depending on draft 2, if we can determine what we're gonna do for staff next year and get that done in May, that would be the reason why we would have a personnel. So we're hopeful that we have a personnel meeting coming up.
Okay. Policy, you met already and addressed the Neola, so there's nothing else?
Yep. Everything was presented today.
Okay. Tech and transportation, Dan?
We have not met. Aaron says we are meeting early June.
To go through kind of our technology purchases and those types of things.
Just at the annual type?
Yep.
Okay. Foundation?
Every year in January.
Okay.
Yeah. Do we have volunteers to do the scholarships, and has that been done?
Volunteers for this.
The review of the board.
Review of the board
Oh,
scholarships.
yep, that's done already.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, he sent out an email request, I think, a month ago or so.
I think we got it done last Wednesday.
Okay, CISA 3, when you hire a great person like Jamie, everything runs like clockwork, and I mean, he's gaining such support and notoriety for CISA 3 that, you know, we went from probably one of the worst CISAs in the state of Wisconsin to one of the better. So I'm very proud of what he and his staff has been able to do. So I don't have anything else. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'm not the most to adjourn.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, Susan.
Yes, thank you, Susan.
Gary, is Bill still on there too? Haskins?